This is the continual evolution of the East Coast beat. At 51, I realize things about my life. I realize that I'm vain, that I'm proud, that I'm stubborn, ignorant at times, that I'm stuck, lost at times, lost in beauty, stuck in madness. I see certain things happen, and I think all people are like that, and I'm full of hate and rage. And then I think certain things happen, and I think that all people are like that, and I'm full of sadness and remorse in my life, I don't really pray for myself. I pray for other people. So there have been people that I've met that have made me wish that there was a God, want for there to be a God. There are people that I've met that have made me want that life on earth be made, that we suffer and toil and be bitten by serpents and stung by bees, and that if we live correctly and suffer properly, that we'll be given a new life, a new realm. Um, and in that, we'll find the peace and the comfort that we didn't in our heart life, that maybe that's how it works. I don't know. Sometimes when I meet people and I see how they live, I just want that. I want to think that after this life, they'll have better. Maybe it's because I want it for myself, but I want to think sometimes when I meet people that, if they do it right, I mean, if they do it right, then they should be rewarded enough rubies to be a king. You know what I'm saying? So, what am I going to do about my situation? Well, I'm going to get off my ass and stop being lazy, because at 51, I'm out of touch with the world. And that doesn't really bother me so much, because the world, see, there was a time when I was circling the world. I was running around the streets, and I was, you know, carousing cafes, and maybe even, haunting, clubs and stuff like that. But there was a time when I was younger where that was my life. I have a friend, she's older, she's about 45, and she never really did the club. Like, she didn't go out to a bar on New Year's. She didn't go karaoke. She didn't do stuff like that when she was younger. And I tell her, well, at 51, that's not really my thing anymore. I mean, um, I mean, in my situation, financially and with how it works, I mean, I don't think I'd really enjoy, going karaokeing in January, and freezing, because the places I would go sometimes had outdoor patios. So, you're doing karaoke outside in January, and you're freezing, and you're drinking a whiskey, and you're having fun with your friends. I did that in my 30s, all the way up to my 30s. But at about 40, I moved into this place. And at about 45, I got a dog. And at about 51, I find myself sleeping. Not really sleeping, just laying there. And yes, I do feel that sometimes life is quiet desperation. I mean, when you hear about some of the things that could be happening politically in the next couple of years, with Trump being in office, the fact that we could have World War III, the fact that, we could have a civil war. Even people are talking about a civil war within the United States over such things as the border, or things like that. It keeps me up at night. I used to stay up at night, but when I stayed up at night, I used to think of dancing with my girl and, going to downtown and having a couple of drinks and having a good time. That's what would occupy my thoughts at night. You know what I'm saying? Like, before I went to sleep, I would think about how warm a pub was, when there was 2 feet of snow outside, how warm it was to sit in a pub with a sweater and drink a beer and talk to some Hungarian girls or something like that. Nowadays, I sit in my apartment, me and I feed my dog and I give her little pets every now and then to keep her satisfied. And it keeps me out of trouble, because, hey, uh, I tell people all the time, bars and nightclubs and things like that, that's a certain type of person. That's a certain type of environment. And the concept that you could go to a bar just trying to have drinks with your friends and end up in a fight, and, very possible. And where I live, some of the bars I go to, the idea that some of those guys either have a gun or one of their little homies is going to have a gun is very high. I've been places and partied with people, for a couple times and then went back to their apartment for an after party and boom, guns on the table. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, yeah, yeah, we carry that all the time. And I'm like, well, thanks for never using it on me. I guess I've got, friendly enough demeanor to not get a 38 put up to my head, for drinking at your bar and talking to your girls. You know what I'm saying? So, what do I know of life? Well, there was a time when I used to think, what did I want out of life? Of course, money. I mean, everybody wants money, at least a certain amount of money. You want health, you want things like that. But I wanted to feel that I had a life of purpose and that for some reason I had to be here to do something, to get something accomplished and to learn lessons and to evolve as a human being and as an individual. So at 51, do I think I have? Yes, from where I started. Um, is there more left to go? Yes, hopefully. And that's the thing is, these last couple of, I don't even know how long, I've been oversleeping and not really doing a lot and just doing everything I could to try to get comfortable one more time, you know what I'm saying? But when I was younger, I didn't fight for comfort. Comfort was not what I wanted. So I have to tell myself at 51, is comfort what I really want? Or is it just what I think I can afford? Or out of all my options, it's the best, Go for comfort. At least in Buddhism, there's the middle way. You don't just lay back leisurely. You sit up straight, slightly bent forward, and you meditate. You think hard thoughts all day long. Even though you're single and you don't have children and you don't make money, the people come to you and they ask you, how do I look at life another way than the way I do that'll help me? How can I wrap my head around this modern world with your little 2,000-year-old philosophy? And it has helped me. There's been times where, like I said, I've had money and I've spent it on alcohol and, I've drove cars fast and, but more often than not, I would find myself sitting cross-legged, thinking hard thoughts, trying to come up with a way of being and a concept that would get me through life. When I joined the army, I didn't want to kill anybody. I didn't want to kill a man in a war, uh, that I didn't know, and I couldn't back the ideology. I understand if you're anti-American and you want to, bomb a building and stuff like that. Yes, I understand you are my enemy. But for me to go to your country and you're defending your country, you're defending your land, you're defending your family, your value, your gods, your rights, your everything. And I'm a foreign man with a bunch of other foreign men with big guns, and we're just that's how I looked at that. I didn't want to be um, involved in that way. So I chose to be a cook. I still considered myself a soldier. Not, not like I said. I don't tell infantry stories. I don't tell people about how I kicked in the door. I never did any of that. I don't. I've read field manuals about it, but I don't. When kids ask me what did I do in the army, I tell them, man, I fried chicken and flipped French toast. I made gravy, Kool-Aid, you know what I'm saying? One time they offered me the barbecue, but I gave it up to the top. I was like, these are your men. You barbecue for them. You know what I'm saying? I'll clean the grill because I'm the cook, but you know what I'm saying? Um, that's how I always looked at life. You can reach for 100%, um, and you can get it. I'm not saying that. I mean, the middle way, you still have to work for desires. You still have to work for end results. I mean, even a monk still has, you think, oh, well, monks, they don't do anything but sit around and meditate. That's a life of dedication. I mean, that's a life of waking up at 3 o'clock, not falling asleep, tending a fire, scrubbing a floor on your hand. You're 50 years old, and after 30 years of working hard, you get to sit, cross-legged on a cushion and talk to people. But for 10, 20 years, you were digging ditches, you were laying down pipes, you were, doing everything that it took to keep the monastery running. So what do I know at 51? If a stranger, were to come to me, like I said, I can tell you certain things. You want to see the world, you want to do this, join the military, be a cook, work for a travel line, something like that. But I chose to be in the military. You want to have fun at work. Well, I can tell you, yeah, I had a lot of fun at work, but I couldn't keep a job. I mean, could I do the job? Yes, but like I said, eventually it would just get to the point where somebody would say something, and the question, where do you see yourself in 5 years? I couldn't tell the truth. I couldn't say, oh, I see myself in university, working on my master's or something like that, because that doesn't include working for you, sir. So I've always kind of had that problem. Um, the middle way, it's not, it's still not the easiest way, but perhaps it might be the best. Like I said, I've gotten to travel the world. I've eaten cheese. I've, danced with women. I've driven very nice cars. I've had nice clothes. I've walked around beautiful cities. And then living the life of the middle way. I've gone days without a dollar. I've survived on, beans and rice, or frozen burritos. You know what I'm saying? I've done that too. You know what I'm saying? And there's been times in my life where I've had more than enough of things, and there's been times in my life where I've felt the hunger and the lack for these things. So, isn't that the middle way? I didn't take what wasn't mine. I didn't ask too many people for too much, but occasionally I'll ask for something, and if it's offered, I'll accept. You know what I'm saying? Um, isn't that the middle way? I'm not a Buddhist monk. I've never been to a monastery. I've talked to a Buddhist monk, but I don't know. So if I've known both sides of the same coin, um, you know, then is that, what did they say? The opposite of stupidity is wisdom, not intelligence. The opposite of stupidity is not to be clever, it's to be wise. Well, I've never really considered myself the smartest. And at this point in life, um, I don't consider myself um, I still don't consider myself the smartest, but I think I may have learned a couple of lessons that kept me out of a lot of trouble. And one of the things that I've learned is to go slow and to appreciate, uh, everything. And one of the things I've learned that you only have a first time once. There's 1,000 first times. The first time you've ever done this, the first time you've ever done that. But you still only have your first times once. And so take your time. I mean, you could, burn it all up in your youth, or you could save a little bit for later. When you're older and you're sitting by the fire, maybe that would be a nice time to, have a first time. You know what I'm saying? Rather than, oh, I'm 15 and I'm going to die at 27. You know what I'm saying? It's like, no, take a little bit more time than that. You know what I'm saying? Was I one of those kind of people that thought I was? Yeah, I didn't think I was going to make it, but I did. So what can I say? A little patience, a little haste, a little heed. You know what I'm saying? Um, and don't burn it up. Well, there are nights when you want to burn the whole city down. The whole town has to know, so you're full of yourself, whether that be anger or giddiness or, tiredness, but you're full of yourself and people can feel that. And there's no reason to calm that down. I mean, if you're 100% feeling an emotion, that emotion is you at the moment. Uh, we may not be, you can argue whether or not you're the same person, your whole life, or, by the time you're 5 years old, you know who you're going to be, or, some of those things I believe. But I also believe that as you get older, you do have the ability to ask for change and possibly change. I was one of those that when I was younger, it just wasn't looking the best. You know what I'm saying? I had a lot of things working against me. I even got caught up in the juvenile system, and it wasn't looking good. So the middle road, in the end, I'm in a housing program, and I don't steal, and I don't sell drugs, and I don't, there's a lot of things I don't do. And I also don't have a lot of money, and I can't Uber. I can't Uber. I can't Uber Eats me and my girl dinner. Every time she comes over. You know what I'm saying? So when she comes over, it's a lot of home cooked food, and uh, like there was a time where I could take you down. I could take us down. I could take a taxi with my girl downtown. We could drink all night, dance all night, eat, take a taxi back, and still have money to continue on with my life. Nowadays, I just don't have that. And the middle ground, so I don't know the lime, I don't know the shiny lights anymore. But the older I get, like I said, there was a pull towards comfort. Um, and I'm not really ready to accept that completely. Like I don't want to be one of those guys that's always sitting around in my sweats at 2:30 in the afternoon because there's nothing else to do. But at the same time, I realize I don't want to be a 53-year-old guy that can't sit and pet a dog at 8 o'clock at night in his own apartment because he has to be, there's money to be made, there's women to be laid, there's games to be played. You know what I'm saying? At a certain age, I'm thankful that some of that energy disappeared, but now I'm asking for a little of that back because I'm getting too tired, too comfortable. I sleep way too much. And so now I'm trying to come back. And like I said, I think that is the middle way. There was a time when I was running on very little sleep because I was doing a lot. And then there was a time where I was sleeping a lot because I was doing a little. And now I hope to find myself more back in the middle. The continual evolution of the East Coast beat. What can I say? In good times, enjoy. And when it gets hard, know that it gets hard and know that it's hard for a lot of people, and know that it's not guaranteed to get, it's not guaranteed that we all end up, billionaires. But like I said, I think if you try hard enough, and you're lucky, you can learn from this life. And then I hope that in the next you get better, you know. Like I said, I hear all these things about, um, I live close to a main street in my town, and homeless people sleep on that street, and that's where I get my pack of smokes every day. So every day I walk by like 3 to 5 homeless people, and some of them even have smiles on their faces, and it makes me wonder, you know. And like I said, what do I know of life at 51? I know that it's still a struggle, and I'm willing to struggle. And if it's a rat race, I'm willing to run it. And if it's a game, I'm willing to play it because I want to win. The East Coast beat.